It's Taste of Country Nights with Evan Paul on demand, season 2, episode 48, a double feature with George Birge and Dustin Lynch. George, man, your song is taking off. Is that crazy?
Country's all I've ever loved, and so it's been the most insane year for me with the way that this stuff is scaled and with the way that this song has reached an audience that I've never reached before, and having people show up at shows and numbers that I'm not used to, and people singing the song back in a way that I'm not used to.
Couple solid interviews here. They gave us a lot of details. George Birge and Dustin Lynch on this double shot at Taste of Country Nights on demand. Also a reminder, if you want to look back in our library, some of our past guests this year, Dolly Parton, we had Reba McEntire, Toby Keith, Jelly Roll, every country artist you could possibly imagine. If you want to hear them interviewed and what they had to say, just search for Taste of Country Nights on demand. This is part of the Town Square Media Podcast Network. Evan Paul here, hanging with George Birge. What's up, dude?
Let's go. Good to see you, buddy.
Good, man. Heard your song in where I was at Walgreens the other day, and I heard Mind on You, and I was like, okay.
It's so trippy, man. I mean, just everywhere I'm going, it's like, you won't be paying attention. All of a sudden, you're like, dang, that's my voice. That's pretty cool, you know?
And the coolest thing about you that I want people to know is, like, you're just a regular dude. Like, I noticed, so I've interviewed you before, but I just realized, like, not too long ago that I was telling my wife this, we're legit. I'm Facebook friends with you. We're not like fan page. It's not like your fan. Like, it's like I see stuff you post where it's like you're so like honored to be where you are in country music, and and it's cool to see, like, because I know you're posting it to like your parents, your grandma, and all that, and you're just a regular dude with this big song climbing up the charts.
Country's all I've ever loved, and so it's been the most insane year for me with the way that this stuff is scaled and with the way that this song has reached an audience that I've never reached before, and having people show up at shows and numbers that I'm not used to, and people singing the song back in a way that I'm not used to. But, it doesn't change any part of who I am or the way that I operate. And I still love, hanging out with my friends and my family. And more than anything, it makes me extra grateful for the people that kind of supported me getting here and giving me this opportunity to chase this. So, I enjoyed the life I had before all this blew up pretty good. So I got no intention of being any different afterwards.
Now, are you and the rest of the Birge family checking this charts every morning like the stock market?
I try not to watch it just because you can drive yourself crazy. But the rest of my family is. Yeah, my wife will hit me and be like, oh, top 5 today, or, something crazy. And it is amazing to have all these people rooting for me, but I'll make myself sick if I watch it too close.
Okay, you're not like calling radio stations like, thank you so much for adding me this. Okay. Is there a particular concert you attended as a kid that kind of set all this off for you?
My first concert was Brian White and LeAnn Rimes at the Frank Irwin Center in Austin, Texas. That was pretty cool. But even before that, I grew up listening to George Strait down in Texas, and my dad and my mom's truck, and it was just kind of in my blood, man. It's down there. It's barbecue, two-stepping, and country music, and it's since you could walk. So. I've always loved it, and I think, I was singing karaoke in my dad's truck since I was old enough to talk, so I always kind of knew it was something I wanted to chase.
Now, is it weird with the name George, doing country music, being from Texas?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not weird. I think that, I definitely have my own sound and my own lane. And I would just say that, I'm trying to carry on the name of a bunch of good Georges in country music. Yeah. George Jones, George Strait, and hopefully George Birge will be up there in one of these days too. But no, both of those guys were huge influences on me. But I definitely am trying to kind of find my own lane too. But honored to share the name with two of the best to ever do it.
Have you met any of those?
Yeah, so I got to meet George Strait a couple years ago, and I introduced myself and just was like, hey, man, I'm from Texas. I was able to get a record deal and move out here to Nashville, and we're getting a little momentum, and just wanted to say how big of an influence you are to me, and, gushing like I didn't want to do, but I couldn't help from doing. And he looks at me and goes, I know who you are. You're doing great, man. Congratulations.
See ya.
I was like, all right, that's all I needed. See you, buddy. Thank you. I excused myself pretty quickly after that.
New bumper sticker. George Strait likes my stuff.
Well, he didn't go that far, but he at least knows who I am.
If he knows who you are, you know what I'm saying?
I hope he likes it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Who would like your dream collaboration be with?
You know, probably Jason Aldean or Gary Allan. They're two sonically of my biggest influences, and Gary and I have gotten to be friends. I just love how all of his music like really makes you feel something. It's intentional, it's emotional. I think he puts a lot of thought into the lyric and the way stuff comes across. So he would be one that I'd really love to make some music with. And then Jason Aldean, just the rock and roll cowboy, man. I love the attitude in his music, and I love how it jumps off a speaker. So I'd love to do something with him one day too. Yeah.
Aldean thinks he's decent at golf. Have you played him yet?
I haven't played. I played in his golf in his wife's golf tournament earlier this year, and I got to see him play some golf and hit some shots. And he's got a little bit of game. He's got a little bit of game.
Be honest.
Yeah. Well, I have a different. I played golf in college. So I have a little bit of a different perspective, but I would say compared to I'd say Jason Aldean could beat most of my friends in golf.
Okay, now let's go country music rankings. Like where do you land?
I would put myself up against anybody, but you know, I kind of had an unfair advantage having got to play in college. Jake Owen can definitely give me a run for my money. He's got a lot of game. Colt Ford can give me a run for my money. He's got a lot of game. Charles Kelly can play. Darius Rucker can play. And surprisingly, Co Wetzel can knock the fire out of a golf ball.
Really?
Yeah, he's got some game, and so does Parker McCollum. So there's a lot of golfers out there. I know Jordan Davis is working hard on his game. He's an athlete, so you give him a little bit of time, he's going to be dangerous.
Okay.
So there's a lot of
Kane Brown's on the simulator, I heard.
Yeah, I hadn't seen Kane play yet. You know, I'll have to check back in after I get the chance to play with him. I'm trying to make that simulator money, man. I'm trying to just stack enough hits together so that we get the simulator. Yeah, that's where it's at.
Yeah, but then you'll miss the course. You know what I'm saying? You'll miss the course. Yeah. Are there any songs on this album that your wife and kids don't like?
If there are, they're not being honest with me. So they are definitely my biggest cheerleaders, and I'm very thankful for that. I will say, if they don't like a song before it's on the album, it usually won't make the album. And they'll be honest with me on that. So, but once we've cut stuff, they like about everything.
So wait, what is a song that's got nixed?
Well, there's just been a couple demos that I'll play a verse and a chorus, and they'll be like, or like my 1-year-old. My first grader, my oldest son. He's getting old enough to have a little bit of input now, and he's like, Dad, I really like that. I didn't like that guitar part going into the chorus. What? And I'm like, well, you're 6 years old.
So your 6-year-old subtracted a song off the album?
He's absolutely A&R'ing from his booster seat in the back of the truck, man.
And what'd you do with that song? Did you are you embarrassed
it's
by it? It's
permanently in the trash can.
Well, it must have been just awful if he said it was awful. Waterloo Revival was on Toby Keith's label. Can you share any Toby stories?
Yeah, man. Toby was definitely a huge part of getting me started. He took me out on tour with him. We did about 30 dates over a summer with him. And the coolest part about Toby was just getting to see him command an audience. You know, he, at the time, was one of the greatest live performers to ever do it. And just, we were used to playing nightclubs where you stand behind a mic for an hour and a half and just kind of honky-tonk, and the stage is 12 feet wide by 12 feet deep, and there's not a lot of running around going on. Well, going out with Toby and having a huge amphitheater where you have to entertain 30,000 people, and there's a catwalk and a massive stage and smoke and pyro. I learned a lot about how to put on a live show and command an audience of that size from him. And we actually were in Virginia Beach one night on his birthday, and he was like, all right, boys, meet me at the bus after the show. And I had no idea what to expect from that. And so we played our set, and he has a little tailgate area set up outside of his bus. So we go sit in the tailgate area, crack a cold beer, and wait for Toby's set to finish. And then he comes, and he's like, all right, I want to introduce you my friends. Boys, this is SEAL Team 6, and this is Post Malone. And we all went up on the bus, and me, Post Malone, Toby Keith, and SEAL Team 6 played guitar until 4 o'clock in the morning on Toby's bus. That was pretty wild. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was pretty wild. Yeah.
What were can they even get into any stories?
They don't, you try not to press it too much, but just being in their presence, man, there were a couple stories exchanged, and it was easily one of the coolest nights of my life. So much so that I had a 6 a.m. flight, and we were on that bus until 4 a.m. and kind of just went straight to the airport. And my cell phone was out of batteries. And I just,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, you just kind of limped it into the airport, and it was one of the best nights ever.
Yeah, I would have told everybody at the airport, here's what happened.
That's what I did last night.
What's going on for 2024 with you?
So we are going out with Parker McCollum on tour top of next year, which is going to be incredible. I'm in the process of cutting some new songs to round out an album, and we've got a couple songs rolling out before then as well. So it's just the most exciting time of my life, having a song taken off in Mind on You the way that it is, and then getting to kind of back it up with some stuff that I'm really proud of. Getting to go out on tour. This is small to most people, but a big deal for me. We just signed our lease for our first tour bus, which is going to be insane.
Go. Is it a Provost?
I sold the van and trailer this year. So, yeah, we're getting on a Prevo, and we're rolling, man.
Is that what they're called? Prevo?
Prevo,
okay.
yeah. It's got a little bedroom in the back, and it's got 12 bunks and a living room. And
wow, you got your microwave?
I tell you, I got the microwave. We're going to have a coffee setup that's going to be second to none in there. And I tell you, man, instead of driving 6 or 8 hours after a show and waking up threadbare on the next morning, I'm going to go to sleep in a bedroom in the back of a bus and wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
You got like a George Foreman?
Oh, man. I'm dangerous on a George Foreman, by the way.
Really?
But I think we're going to pull a trailer behind it, and I'm a huge barbecue guy.
Okay.
So I'm thinking of putting one of those little Jake Owen actually showed me this, a Blackstone griddle in the back in the trailer.
Yeah.
And he does that. He brings that out there, and he'll cook steaks and shrimp and all that. It's like a tailgate before the show.
Yeah.
So that ever since I saw him do that, which was like 2 years ago, it's stuck with me. I'm like, this is my goal. Once I'm cooking shrimp on a Blackstone griddle in the back of my bus, that's how I know I made it, man.
That's where it's at, man. Yeah. Jake Owen, this is how I know I made it. Yeah. Be careful with them Blackstones, though. They're hard to clean, man. You got to clean a lot. You know what I'm saying? Well, awesome, man. Well, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you coming and hanging out.
Thank you for having me. So much fun.
All right, let's get to this double feature here on Taste of Country Nights on Demand. We got Dustin Lynch. Dude, I am loving this album, man. I'm so glad that you're in this stage of life and you put this album out.
I am too. It's just, I still can't believe we're 6 albums in already. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool, man. Before we get into it, I want to have you been flying lately, and have you gotten anything from Dirks? You told me like a few years back you might get one of his planes.
Man, I wish. He's probably made enough money now where he can give me a plane, don't you think?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I had a great. We had a little bit of a break in July, end of July, and there in August, and I was making sure I was staying on top of my flying. Now I've been on the road on tour and promoting the album for a few weeks, so I'm really looking forward to getting back and knocking the dust off. It actually has shocked me. You know how important it is to stay consistent. I didn't realize that it was going to be one of those things. It's not like driving a car where you can get back in and just kind of drive it. Oh. You know, flying a plane, there's a lot more going on. So got to stay on top of that. But I have been, and I feel really safe, and I'm loving being a pilot.
Did you see that thing about the fighter jet that flew away unmanned for a while?
I did. Yeah. Man, that guy was lucky that, you know, how all went down. And I guess everybody was on, you know, the plane landed where it did and didn't hurt anybody else. But he I guess he ejected and parachuted down. And the plane I fly has a parachute on it. So I have that safety button if I need it.
Attaboy. Back in 2018, you posted a video on socials about not getting nominated at the ACMs and how disappointing that was. And you've always been so candid about sharing the hard parts of life, not just the highlights. This album is you're sharing the hard parts of being single, which I love. How do you get comfortable by being so open about like disappointments and challenges in your life?
Yeah, it honestly is me just kind of leveling it up with myself and this stage of my life going, hey, am I okay? You know, but then also going, what's the best version of me in 5, 10, 20 years? You know, I have a lot going on in my life and multitasking, you know, personal life, relationships versus what drives me, which is, you know, trying to make the best music I can and play the best shows I can. You know, finding that balance is really kind of what I'm going through. I don't know where I'm going to end up, but right now I'm single and liking where I'm at. But yeah, the album "Kill the Cowboy" is that conversation, you know, and maybe she's right around the corner. Maybe I'll find her today or tomorrow, or maybe it's going to be a while. But I guess everybody will be watching the story as it plays out.
Are you up on Tinder?
No. No, I hadn't got to go down that rabbit hole yet. And I really find it tough making time to really go on dates when I'm off the road. I've gotten in a routine of just loving being by myself and working on the farm and kind of recharging the batteries when I come back off a tour. So I don't know if that's a schedule that I need to switch up a little bit to maybe find me a award show date, but we'll see what happens.
I want to talk about Chevrolet. It has Dobie Gray's Drift Away, Uncle Cracker Drift Away. Are you a Dobie Gray fan?
Absolutely. I mean, that song is a classic. I'm so blessed that we got to re-record our version of it. Obviously, Drift Away has been a huge hit for decades. And the fact that they were cool and trusted us with the melody to go in and rewrite the lyric for Chevrolet. It's just awesome. It's an honor. Hopefully we continue that song's life into this next generation of country music fans, and getting to do that with Jelly Roll was a lot of fun. He's one of my favorite humans on earth, and to have a song with him be part of my career is such an honor.
What was it like having him on as a feature? Like, did you get to record with him, or do you hang out with Jelly Roll a lot?
Yeah, I mean, our schedules are crazy, but we work out of the same studio with a lot of the same people. So that's why one of the reasons the song came together. Fun fact, he recorded that vocal down in Austin, Texas, the night before he recorded his Joe Rogan episode.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we weren't in the studio together when we did the vocals, but that's just kind of how our schedules worked out.
That's cool, man. This is a different album than Blue in the Sky. That was a pretty sunny project, but it did have, party mode and stuff like that on this one. They're lurking beneath the surface. This album kind of deals with darker stuff head on, though. What's the relationship between those two records?
It does, yeah. I think just two different chapters of my life. Blue in the Sky, I started writing and recording that album when we were off the road. We were in Nashville. My girlfriend at the time was living with me, and then went through the breakup. I didn't go through that with the Killed the Cowboy album. It was really a lot more of being with myself. I think I'm okay being alone. I'm cool with that. But wondering, if I'm doing it the right way. And that's kind of what this chapter is about. So, the songs take us there. The emotion takes us there. I think subconsciously always had in my mind, I wanted another big emotional moment for our show on tour, which I think we've executed perfectly with Killed the Cowboy. It's this track that we've started playing live already. And man, it's really dynamic and powerful at our show. So I'm excited to hit the road with this album, man. The Kill the Cowboy tour is going to be a lot of fun. Our fans are on fire right now, thanks to you guys supporting our last few songs, and it's going to be a fun year ahead.
Dude, I want to talk about Lone Star. So this song could be interpreted in a couple different ways. Like, it could be interpreted as being like running into a beautiful girl at the bar, or it could just be like an ode to being single. When you heard it, when it was brought to you, how did you see it?
Man, that's a great line you just used. I'll tell you where I saw it. I saw it as me walking into a bar and seeing somebody across the bar that just takes your breath away.
Okay.
And I don't know why this is the first bar I ever played in Nashville. Is Tin Roof to Mumbrian Street. And just the way that bar sets up, whenever I heard that song, it just took me there. And yeah, so that, I don't know if that answers your question all the way, but that's how I see it. It's a scenario that's fun. It's exciting. I think for all of us single people out there, we dream of it. It's not too committal of a song. It's just that moment of seeing somebody new that kind of turns your world upside down for a moment and embracing that.
There's a lot of breakup songs on this album, but it kind of ends with a couple love songs. Why'd you end the project on a happy romantic note? And those two love songs are ones that you co-wrote. So what made you decide, were you laying it out that way, or did it just happen?
Yeah, I kind of listen, top to bottom, and I want the songs to flow. There wasn't any sort of particular storyline, but ending an album on a happy note seems like the better option always. And Long Way Home is a song about an ideal scenario for me. I love the idea of having an awesome date night with somebody, and then I still love riding back roads, man. There's nothing better than just being in the country with your girl in the truck and listening to music and letting her kind of DJ and seeing where the night goes.
You're right for that, man. Every time I get on, there's a back road by my house, man. Every time I get on it, I for some reason, man, I think about one of your songs. I swear to God.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah, you know what about stealing street signs or just riding roads, man. I love it, dude.
Thank you.
Speaking of those two songs, they kind of have a hat tip toward country music. You're bringing up a couple old songs in that. How does country music feature into your personal crossroads on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I think I come at it two different ways. When I'm listening to the radio, I'm listening to it as a professional, a bit of a music nerd and trying to figure out if it's one of my songs, I'm still critiquing it. If it's somebody else's, figuring out what's the next chapter, where does country music go? We're always evolving, and our genre, I think, has never been in a stronger point. We've got a lot of eyes and ears on us that we didn't have on us last year in a great way. So I'm listening to it as a fan, and escaping. But I would say for the majority of the time, I'm listening to it as me, as an artist and a songwriter, and I'm kind of deep diving in on why a song is working, and working on me at that specific time.
What about, are you able to go to a show of another person's and not be an artist? Are you able to ever unplug, or are you always taking notes?
I am, yeah. I find it easier to do with other genres. Or, if it's like the other night, we got to do a show with Brooks and Dunn. If it's somebody legendary like that, I can escape and just be a fan. But other genres of music, if I get the right buzz going, man, and if I'm going to be at a show, I'm a huge fan. I don't get many chances to go to shows. So whenever I go, I'm there for a purpose, and I'm not thinking about much of anything. The biggest buzzkill is worrying about lights or how it sounds whenever you're a fan at somebody else's show. So I just try to catch a good enough buzz to where that doesn't happen, and off I go.
There you go. Dude, we're rocking Stars Like Confetti. We get a lot of people loving it, man. It's a good anthem, man. Thank you for putting that out.
Yeah.
This is a good record, man. I'm excited for people to hear it.
Thank you so much, Evan. I appreciate the support on Stars Like Confetti. And we've always known that song's going to do great things for us, and it's great to see it climbing in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's going to go. It's going to go. And I'm not just saying that. I think it's going to go.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
All right, man. You have a good one.
All right. We'll catch you soon.
All right, Dustin. Later.
Bye-bye.
Let's bring in Billy Dukes from behind the camera at Taste of Country to talk about these interviews here.
I like George Birge. He comes with good stories, and he's not afraid to name drop.
I love that. Although you brought up a point to me before we started recording that he could be the only artist that his dream aspirational goal is to collaborate with Jason Aldean.
Yeah, we haven't had that answer before. Or Gary Allan, which is a little bit of a left field kind of response.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And, George Birge is a really cool guy. Like I mentioned in the interview, I'm friends with him on Facebook, but other than singing, I've never really heard him talk. So when he first started talking, it wasn't the voice I was expecting.
You do. That's interesting. I've had that happen from time to time where someone kind of opens up their mouth and it's like, oh, that's not what I expected to come out of there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been on that tip a little bit lately of artists that don't sound like it when they sing. Like Keith Urban, you talk to him and it's Australian, but when he sings, it's not really. But yeah, with George Birge, it was it's my first one. He was like, "How's it going, buddy?" I was like, "Oh, whoa, okay." He kind of sounds like Bailey Zimmerman to me.
So what tends to happen is because we're Facebook friends with people in the industry, we get like the suggested friends. So like the artist's personal Facebook pages will come up through those suggested friends. And I'm always weird about like friending them, but sometimes it pays off. Like lately I've been seeing Carly Pierce's like personal Facebook page sort of pop up. But like like Dan Smyers is someone that I am personal and friends with, and he'll like drop in my comments on my birthday, "Happy birthday, buddy," which is just bananas.
Yeah, he's really good at social media.
Brett Eldridge had a fake name. I don't know if he still uses it, but his had a fake name, which was kind of funny. But the wild one to me was I became Facebook friends with an artist named Josh Gracin. And I don't know Josh hardly at all. He wouldn't recognize me if I was in the same room. He was like an early American Idol contestant, and he had a couple of hits after that, but kind of stuck around for a little while. And like several years ago, he was going through some pretty heavy personal things where it sounded like maybe he was going to take his own life. His marriage was crumbling apart. And he was sort of documenting this and his mental sort of unraveling on his personal Facebook page. And I'm seeing all this and I'm like, what's my obligation here? Like, this is definitely news, but it's a personal face.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure how to like navigate outing myself.
What'd you do?
I think we ran it. Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's that's interesting because like you're right, man. Like, what if Dan Smyers from Dan and Shay puts out something that's like, me and Shay are no longer gonna be in a group, but it's only on his personal Facebook page? Like, do you report it?
I think so. I think if it's out there, it's out there. I don't think you get to control like who talks about you in that kind of way. There was a situation. It was you remember several years ago when Carrie Underwood fell and kind of busted up her face and all of that? Well, afterwards, she like the first thing she said after that was to like a private fan club message. She dropped it in like a note on to her fan club. And I had heard that was out there, and that was huge news. So I signed up for the fan club and found the post and reported it. And like people were mad on social media, like that was only supposed to be for her fan club. It's like, you don't get to decide that. I don't think, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you can't kind of like, if you're just telling one person, if someone tells me something in confidence, that's one thing. But if I put something out there in public to several 100,000 people on social media, you know, that I don't think that crosses the line, in my opinion.
I agree. So, I mean, if the bottom line is if you're a country artist on the way up, you know, don't become Facebook friends with Billy Dukes or myself, because you never know. Like, you could just be posting something about being at grandma's house and it could end up being a story.
Oh, totally. I'm a journalist. I'm not a secret keeper. Don't give me your secrets. If you want me to keep a secret, you know what I mean? Like, I got loose lips and I own it.
Yeah. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
No.
That's all good.
We got a little distracted, I guess, from George Birge, but man, he's got a great song, and he has a really good interview, kind of cheering for this kid. That Toby Keith story was bananas as well.
Which one? Oh, yes, definitely. How does that happen to someone like that? Like, that's crazy.
So he said it was Toby himself, SEAL Team 6, and Post Malone. Which one of those was most surprising to you?
Probably George Birge.
A little, yeah. I mean, I guess he was on tour with Toby, so maybe that was just a nice sort of gesture.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Toby Keith hanging out with SEAL Team 6. Like, I see that. Like, I just don't picture George Birge there. That's crazy.
I would love to know what Post Malone was even doing in the building.
I don't think Post Malone even knows.
One day, maybe we'll get an interview with him.
Yeah, he seems to be going country. That would be really cool. Do you think that there could be a collaboration? Because I know a lot of people are collaborating with Post Malone, like Hardy and all that, and he's trying to cross over. Do you think like someone like Birge could get on something like that, or is he not there at that level yet?
I don't know if it's necessarily about where he's at, like in his career. It's probably more to do with like his connections. Like if he shares a manager with so-and-so or a record label connection with so-and-so, then it might work out. I think often that's like the glue that binds. Like, remember Dan and Shay, Justin Bieber, they had that collaboration. Well, they shared, I think, a management company at the time, and that's kind of how that happened. Like, without that, I don't think Dan and Shay and Justin Bieber are recording music together.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah. And then he mentioned George Strait as well, which I thought was kind of bananas. I want to put a video together of all the people telling us George Strait and Willie Nelson stories.
Right. I really was serious, like, to be named George and then come from Texas, like, and trying to make it in country music, like, that takes some cojones. Like, that's almost like borderline, you should change your name. Like, you're going to try to be George from Texas? Like, okay. But he did it, man. He's doing it.
Yeah, so far he's on the right track. There's no other Dustins. I guess it's just one Dustin, so he has sort of name rights at this point.
Yeah.
Is he your favorite? Is he one of your favorites to talk to? Because every time you talk to him, like, you kind of, I don't know, you kind of light up. It seems like you're having more fun than you are with other artists.
You talking about Dustin Lynch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Dustin Lynch, man. He's so cool. Yeah, he just gives it to you straight, and he's like a challenging interview because he is like so focused and zoomed in on you and like so into it that it kind of makes me nervous. So I get extra excited to talk to him because he's like dialed in, and he always gives me great stories. And I know that his latest album is based off him being single, and he's on a quest to find a woman. And as men, we're married, but you're not to each other. But, having our wives and everything, you don't realize, someone that Dustin's in his mid-30s or whatever, and he's still on that quest, and he's sharing it with us. And he's just always open, honest, and candid. And I think that's really cool.
So at times, I think maybe he even overshares because, or at least he gushes on maybe relationships, maybe before the relationship is at that level, and then comes back to regret it. Like, you got all the insight about his last girlfriend and then the breakup. He shared all about it, and now he's talking about how hard it is dating. Like, it's he doesn't seem to have a filter, which is refreshing, and it comes through in his music.
Yeah, I just kind of think that I feel like he's going to end up being single. I don't know. I just feel it. I think that he's just, I don't know. He's told me before he likes to just go hunting by himself. He likes to be outside and land by himself. And, I don't know. It just seems like he's going to end up being like the single uncle.
If Dustin Lynch called you and said, "Hey, Evan, I'm flying in. I got my little 2-seater. Why don't you hop on the plane with me and we'll go wherever, just cruising around." Are you getting on that plane? You're not getting on that plane with Dustin Lynch?
Hell no. Are you?
Why? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I would. For sure.
No. I wouldn't even get in there with Dierks Bentley. I wouldn't even get on anybody's plane like that. The only plane I'm getting on is a big one. No way.
Good. Talking clear weather, 30-minute flight, no issues. You wouldn't. Is it the plane or the pilot?
Both. I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't get in like a single-engine Cessna with like a Delta Airlines pilot. I might do that, but I don't know. No offense to like Dustin Lynch or Dierks Bentley or anybody else that flies in country music, but if that's not your job, like, I don't think I'm getting in the plane with him. I don't know. I don't even think his mom has yet. I don't think so.
I think I would. I think I'd go cruising with him.
You're crazy. Although he could probably take you around Tullahoma, Tennessee, and Nashville and all that in his hometown and show you some good spots, but no way, man.
I want to get him to fly me over Kid Rock's house like Dierks Bentley did.
All right, I might do that. I might do that just because I want to see if that really looks like the White House.
Yeah. I mean, Tullahoma, I've been down there. I mean, it's a nice town and all, but it's not that special. It's just a lot of open green land. But fly me over a building or like Tennessee Titans Stadium when they're playing a game or something and that I'm in.
Yeah, I guess it depends on where we're going. You didn't throw that in there in the first question, so I got to think about it.
Oh, all right. So he could be convinced. Fair enough.